guys, welcome to our first lecture for DES 305. Some of you have had me before, so you've already been through this. Those of you that have not, hi guys, I'm excited to be your instructor. I have worked in the graphic design and printing industry for over 8 years now. I also have been involved in web design for the past 4 years. I have a bachelor's in graphic design, a bachelor's in computer science, and a master's in information systems. While the online learning environment is different from the traditional classroom experience, I believe that the online environment can be just as stimulating, just as personal as what you're getting in the classroom setting. And that's what I strive for most in my lectures, is trying to bring in those small things that you get in the classroom that you normally miss in the online experience. I try to bring that stuff into class as much as I can. Sometimes in a different way than you would get it in the classroom, but the concept still comes across and you still benefit from that. I believe as a teacher that we must be innovative and willing to go that extra mile, that extra step to make the online experience just as rewarding as the classroom experience. I'm going to be here with you guys every step of the way. Today we are going through our class policy and expectations. It will tell you what I expect from you guys and what you can expect from me. We will be taking a look at the mod at a glance. We're going to look at our project we're going to be doing this mod. And then we're going to go over that final project and talk a little bit about getting started. The next lecture screen here needs to be updated. I'm sorry about that. I missed that when I was putting together our lecture. Our next lecture will be tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. The best way to contact me is through email. It is the fastest way to get in touch with me and to get a response from me. The next fastest way is text messaging. You can text message me at 817-909-5597. You can also Skype me at Misty Porch or call me at 972-591-8393. Now, calling me, you're not going to get an immediate response from me, guys. I work, as you just saw, full-time as a graphic designer, and I teach part-time. So the biggest part of the day, I am at work, and I can't return phone calls there. And the other half, most of the evening, I am teaching, giving lectures. This course focuses on designing and creating a portfolio website. This screen is messed up a little bit too. We are going to be going over developing a website portfolio based on the school's website. And we're going to be using Muse for this mod, and we're going to use some of the advanced techniques. Those of you that had me for DS241 have already been introduced to those advanced techniques. So you're already going to be familiar with them. We were just going to be using them in a different way than we did in the DS241 class. This course will help you, because as graphic designers, guys, with technology and everybody being so dependent on their cell phones, laptops, computers, tablets, all of us have them, we all use them, we're all dependent on them to some extent. So we've kind of become an age that's very technology driven. I mean, think about it. You've got your cell phones, your tablets, your laptops, your desktop, your computers. You've got all that stuff. But now think about all the smart stuff you have. You've got smart appliances now. You've got the Echo Dot from Amazon. Just on and on and on and on. We have all this smart stuff, smart thermostats, and so forth. We have become so dependent on technology as a society that in order to be a successful graphic designers, you at least have to have the knowledge to design for these type of interfaces. And that's what all these classes are about. Muse in particular, however, is a way to give print designers the ability to design websites. And that is a very, very big thing. And it will make you much more successful as a graphic designer if you can also design a working website. Muse is a program from Adobe that allows you to be able to do that without learning code and CSS, without having to type all that stuff up and all of that good stuff. This course you will be using Muse, and like I said, it's for print designers. You guys aren't going to have to worry about coding or setting up your HTML. You're going to be placing things on your artboard and moving them around where you want it, and Muse will be writing that code for you. Upon successful completion of this course, the students will be able to design a responsive HTML-based portfolio website. Hi, Daniel. Welcome to class. You're going to be able to discuss and evaluate strengths and weaknesses of design styles. Develop a strategy to implement advanced interactive methods to achieve an engaging user experience in the portfolio website. Implement social media networking methods to increase visibility to potential employers or clients. Select best projects to feature in the portfolio website. Prepare a mock presentation of the portfolio website for potential employers or clients. And demonstrate the ability to upload the responsive HTML-based portfolio to the internet. What you will need for this course: you do need to make sure that your Adobe CC is up to date. You should now be using Adobe Creative Cloud 2017. For this class specifically, we are going to be using Illustrator, Photoshop, and Muse. Course policies and expectations. Communication will make for a better experience and learning environment. Don't be afraid to ask me questions, guys. As I've already said once, I am going to be here with you every step of the way. So if you don't understand something, or you just have a question because maybe you're going above and beyond what the assignment's requiring, and it's something that I didn't necessarily touch on, I try to touch on as much as I possibly can outside, above and beyond the assignment. But we are limited in our time together. So I make sure that I get everything you need for your assignment. So if you come across something you want to use and I haven't addressed it, don't hesitate to reach out to me and ask me questions about it, how you use it, that sort of thing. I am more than happy to answer those questions. You should definitely contact me anytime you're having issues with understanding or getting your assignments or assessments complete. You just have a general question about the class or application we are using, or do you have questions on how to promote your new skills? Due dates for this class are the same, are normal, just like your other classes. Your assignments and your assessments are due by Saturday at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time on the week they are assigned. Discussions, your initial post is due on Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time the week it is assigned. 2 replies on separate days, by Saturday at 11:59 p.m. the week it is assigned. Late work accepted on assignments and assessments for week 1 past the deadlines for week 1 through 3. A 20% deduction will be made for work submitted past the deadline, unless you've gotten an extension from me. Discussions will be closed for comments on their deadline. No post or replies can be made after the discussion is closed. Resubmissions. I encourage reworking an assignment to bring it up to portfolio quality, or an assignment that is a step to create a portfolio quality project. The final assessment will require making changes per the critique and feedback from the previous weeks. I use a rubric for all discussions, assignment, and project type assessments. Reviewing these will give you a very good indication of what is expected when turning in your work. If you aren't sure, ask me. File name is the easiest point you can get. Make sure you name your file correctly. Meet submission deadlines, second easiest point you can get. So, in order for me to count a submission on time, 80% of it must be complete in order for me to consider it on time. Extensions to turn in late work without penalty. If there are documentable extenuating circumstances, examined on a case-by-case basis, but mostly limited to medical, military, and death of an immediate family member, contact me at least 12 hours before the deadline requesting an extension. Submit what you have done. No extensions past the end of the month. Extensions that do not fall into the automatic extensions require communication, guys, that require communications. If you are having an issue and are not going to be able to get your work turned in, make sure you email me. The odds are I'm going to give you an extension to complete the work so that I don't have to take that 20% deduction. I just recently graduated, finishing my computer science, my bachelor's degree in computer science. I have been exactly where you guys are right now. I have been the student, and I absolutely understand without a doubt how family issues, work, unexpected events can mean you're not going to get things done on time. It's going to be late. I understand it. Email me. That's the requirement to get an extension from me. Email me before the deadline and say, hey, I'm not going to get my assignment in on time, but I'll have it to you by this day. Tell me when you're going to get it to me. That enables me to keep you off the list. I don't have to send your name to the dean, your AD, and our learning coach. So those 3 people aren't going to be calling you to find out why you didn't turn in work. Because I can keep you off that list if I know you're going to be late and I know when you're going to have that assignment to me. So it's all about communication, guys. I am more than happy to give you an extension because I get it. The smallest things can be the difference in getting your work in on time and not. But you have to email me. It doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes before the deadline. Email me and just say, it's not working, I'm not going to get this in on time, but I'll have it to you on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday or whenever the case is. Just tell me you're not going to make the deadline and give me a deadline of when you're going to have that assignment to me. And then you don't have to get that 20% deduction. That 20% is a big portion of your grade. And it affects your GPA a lot. And I don't want to see that happen to any of you. But I cannot give you that extension if you've emailed me past the deadline. Email me before the deadline is over. Any questions? I'm a pretty laid-back instructor, guys. I will be there every step of the way, right there with you. I will answer your emails. I will answer your text messages. I will return your phone calls. The phone calls do take the longest, and it's because I work all day long. And then in the evenings, I'm teaching, usually separate classes. So in the evenings, I'm giving 4 hours worth of lectures. You guys are my second lecture for today, and I still have one more to go after you. So phone calls are the hardest for me to return. Emails and text messages are the fastest way to communicate with me. Let's talk about our overview for week 1. Over the next 2 weeks, we will be creating a 2-page website for Independence University Graphic Arts program. This website will showcase the different degree programs Independence University offers, the potential careers, and the applications students will learn. This week, we will create the homepage. This design needs to be original and not similar to the current website. Yes, you can use our current website for inspiration, but the website itself must be different than what we currently have. Our learning objectives for this week are to determine the visual concept of the portfolio website, create an interactive menu that includes normal, rollover, mouse down, and active states. The World Wide Web has come a long ways. I don't know if any of you guys remember websites that used to look like this on the left. That's what all of our websites look like at first. If you compare that to what you see now, like an example on the right, that's a huge difference. We have come a very, very long way. Even a couple of years ago, you didn't see these big, huge banner slideshows. They just didn't exist. They were little slideshows. You didn't see all the interactive buttons and tabs and things like that. Drop-down websites or the cascading websites that are all on one page. You click a button and the page automatically rolls and you get to the section you want. You didn't see that type of thing before. HTML5 has given us so many great options that has made making an interactive website so much easier. I do want to take a moment to talk about the page layout. Although we are not coding in this class, everybody understand that. We are not coding. Muse will do all of your code for you. As graphic designers, though, it is very important that you guys be able to recognize the layout of a website and those tags that go along with those websites. I do web design, but I get a lot of clients for just graphic design. They need me to make something that goes in their sidebar on their website. Well, guess what? I can offer to put that in their website and place that image there in the background and charge them extra money for it. Why? Because I know what tags to look for and where that needs to go. I get to make a couple hundred extra bucks because I actually put it on their website. That's good, easy money. You just have to be able to recognize those tags. So we're going to talk about those. Even though we're not coding, it is important for you guys to be able to start recognizing these tags and what they do, that sort of thing. HTML5 offers new semantic elements that define different parts of a web page. That's another thing HTML5 has done for us. It has created some tags that are very common sense type tags, and so they're easier to remember. You have your header tag, which defines a header of a document or a section, which of course is that top portion of a website. You have the nav tag, which defines and contains the navigation links. Your navigation bar is always going to be found between nav tags. And then you have a tag called section. The section tag defines a section in a document. You could have several section tags. And section has become kind of like a div tag. While we still use div tags, absolutely we do. The section tag usually is a section within another tag. Like, let's say you had your main content, which is the article or the main tag. It is a self-contained portion, the main content of your website. You know, the stuff between the header, the stuff between the footer and the header, that is your main content. And that goes between main tags. Well, let's say you have a website that has several different sections within the main content. Maybe there's actually 3 different sections in the main content. You separate those using section tags. Make sense? And then you have that A side tag. Now, break it up. It's just not A side. A side. It's your left or right sidebar. It can be either or. It is a side of the website. It defines content aside from the content, like sidebars. Anytime you have a sidebar, they're going to be in an A side tag. And then of course you have the footer. Defines a footer of a document or a section. And of course that's all the stuff at the bottom of your website. Usually the stuff that's non-essential. You find things like your copyright, privacy policy is sometimes down there. If it's a corporate website, you can find things about their profit and loss. You can find outside links to third parties in the footer sometime. It's stuff that is non-essential to the website itself, but it's extra for the user. It makes it easier for them to find certain things. Make sense? So how would a website look? This is kind of the only thing. This website, you have the box. You see our tags there. You've got the header tag, the nav tag, a section tag, an article tag, an A-side tag, and a footer tag. Well, let's compare it to our website over here. You've got the header. Oops, the header there. You've got the nav here. And then we have our first section. This is all the way down to that blue line. And then we have an article. And then, of course, this A sidebar. Now, this is not the greatest representation, but it works. Now, in reality, this could be an A side. This could also be an A side. Or this could be an article, and this could be an article. Or this could be a section, and this be a section, and this be a section. Those tags, you just kind of have to know what they mean. If it's A side, it means it's going to be beside something, whether it's a sidebar or it's going to be in beside some other type of tag. Article and sections are kind of interchangeable. You can have a section or you can have an article. Articles are normally deemed for things that are smaller content, meaning they're going to be smaller than other things on the page. And sections are reserved for the larger portions. And then, of course, you have your footer, your social media icons, the copyright, you know, all of that good stuff down there. So, any questions over those tags, guys? I know this is not the first time you've seen these tags. All of you should have had DS248 by now, where you did some actual coding. So these tags should look fairly familiar to you. But I always like to introduce them in all my classes because it is imperative that you guys be able to recognize these tags. These are the basic HTML5 structure tags. Okay, using Photoshop or Illustrator to mock up. You can use either or. I strongly suggest that you use Photoshop. It is much easier to generate your assets using Photoshop versus Illustrator. Some best practices for web design mockups. Use shapes and shape layers as often as possible. You can resize these easily without quality loss. And they're good for later changes. If you have to change them later, you can change them. Blending options are your friend. Double-click a shape layer and you can do all sorts of effects. Gradients, shadows, color overlays, they are much easier to make changes to later on when a client says, can I see that gradient in blue? Much easier to make changes to, and your clients will do that. Well, can I see it in this color? Well, what about this color? And so you have to be able to make quick changes, otherwise it's costing you money. Because the reality is, as graphic designers, we're paid by the hour. We charge our clients by the hour for design. But if stuff takes us too long, they're going to start complaining because you're too expensive. You're going to lose that customer. And the idea is to find customers that continually come back. That means you have to be able to make quick changes for the things they need and get it to them as quickly as possible. Using WebSafe font on any part of the site with live text. Adobe Typekit offers a large selection of WebSafe fonts you can design with, and we will be exploring Typekit as we get into doing our websites and Muse and things like that. We will be pulling up Typekit so that you can see it and see what's available. Use different layers for multiple versions of the same page. If you do multiple page comps, usually just the main content changes while the header, footer, and sidebar often stay the same. So using the folder structure in Photoshop, you could create folders like content, front page, content, contact form, content, entry. And then just toggle your visibility when saving multiple drafts. And I will be going over how to use the layer comps box. It makes mocking up a web page so much easier. You're going to get your width right. If your target screen resolution is 800 pixels, your mockup shouldn't be any wider than 760 pixels. If you're targeting 1024 pixels, your mockup should probably not exceed 960 pixels. A very large number of people these days are using 1024 pixels or higher. Why is that? Because, as you've noticed, desktop computer monitors have gotten larger. Used to, you bought a desktop computer and you got a 15-inch monitor that came with it. Now you buy a desktop computer and you get a 20 to 24-inch monitor that comes with it. That's a lot bigger than the old monitors. So websites have become bigger because the monitors are bigger. So when they view a website on the screen, it's bigger. 1024 is your laptop screen size. So before, 1024 would have been desktop screen size. So you designed it 960. Why? So you have that pretty white space on the right and left. And now that the monitors are bigger, monitors on most desktop computers are really about 1280 pixels. So you design at 1024. So everything fits in there nicely and it can be responsive and it can expand and do all of that kind of good stuff. Don't reinvent the wheel. Look online at popular layouts. There is a reason that many designers choose these layouts. Think of the user experience and the user interface that you went over in both DES 241 and DES 248. How is your user going to interact with your site? That's very, very important. Are they just going to be looking at it? Or is there going to be multiple places they need to click to get to where they need to go? Is there going to be a lot of different types of navigation? That sort of thing. So it's important how things are laid out in order for the user to be able to find what they need. We're going to talk about the Adobe color wheel. You guys have to come up with a color scheme and things like that. Do keep in mind that you are using the Independence of University logo. And there are colors in that logo, and they need to extend to your website. We all are familiar with branding. Branding applies to a website as well. But I did want to hit on the Adobe Color CC for those of you that have not explored it yet, because it is a very valuable tool for graphic designers. It will make creating color schemes for your projects much easier, because it will allow you to do all sorts of things, from choosing analogous colors, monochromatic, triad, complementary, compound, shades, custom stuff. It will also allow you to pull an image in and get the colors off there. And that's what we're fixing to talk about now. You're going to make sure you're signed into your Creative Cloud, and then you simply type color.adobe.com into your internet browser. It will automatically log you in to Adobe Color. And this is what your screen will look like at first. Once you've logged in, your screen will look similar to this right here. You can use an image to get color, and this becomes very, very helpful because a lot of times your customers are going to supply you with images. A lot of times when you're building a website, more times than not, your customer is going to supply you with images. It's always a good idea to collect those images and see if there's a common color. What you have to realize as graphic designers is that, especially when your customers are providing you with images and stuff, their subconscious plays in that a lot. So they end up picking pictures that have a color in it that they really like. They may not be aware that they're attracted to that color, or for some reason their brain associates that color with their company. So it's important that you gather up those images and you see if there's a commonality there. If there's something in common with all those images. They also have some sort of red shade in them. They all have a green shade, or they all have basically blue. You know, that sort of thing is what you're going to want to look at. And then you can copy that exact color and actually use it on the website. You simply click this little camera icon in Adobe Color, and then it's going to open up your Finder, and it's going to tell you to pick a picture. You're going to upload the picture there, hit open, and then your picture appears in the center of the screen. And this is where you can move these little circles around. If it doesn't automatically pick up the circles where you want it, and you're looking for a specific color that it didn't get, you can grab any of those circles and drag it all over that picture until you get it on top of the color you want. Then it creates these nice swatches for you. And then once you have those swatches, you're going to go up to the left-hand corner and hit Save. It's going to open up this Save Library box for you. Give it a name, and then it'll tell you to choose your cloud and library. You have a drop down here that will allow you to choose a folder that's already in your Creative Cloud library, or give you the option to create a new one. And then you just hit Save. And then your color will be automatically populated in your Creative CC library. You can take it from there and put it into your swatch panel. Now, Muse. There are two different layouts to Muse depending on what you have your preferences set at. There is the dark screen, and then there is the light screen, which is the white background. I prefer the dark background, but there are a lot of people that prefer the white background. Totally up to you guys on which one you actually use. Your lynda.com videos that you're watching will go over how to make this change. The default in use now is the gray screen, but you can switch it back to the old default, which is the white screen. And you have this dark screen, white screen. You can kind of see the difference in the layout when you're looking at an actual page versus just looking at the plan view. I prefer the dark one. I think it makes the page stand out, but there's a lot of you that are going to prefer the white one. So if you watch that lynda.com video and you have trouble setting yours to white, just let me know and we'll go through that, but it's pretty simple. Adobe Muse offers Typekit, which we just talked about. Typekit has integrated with Muse, enabling users to select fonts from the Typekit library when designing their website. In Muse, the Typekit feature is much easier than it is in Illustrator and InDesign. It's a little different. It's the same plugin for Typekit, but it does act a little differently and it's much easier to use. The Adobe CC library is now in use. which makes things a lot easier because you can simply pull your images out of your CC library. It offers you the ability to save color themes, have your images at your fingers. It enables you to edit images that are in your CC library and update on your page. Okay, so let's get started. Let's talk about Muse a little bit. How many of you remember your DS241 class? Do you guys remember that class? Did you guys enjoy that class? Tammy, you don't remember it too well. You remember taking it, it's just not something that kind of held on to. Well, we're going to go through all of it, so don't panic. You're going to know what you need to do for your assignments. I will do demos every single week. And once we get started, it'll probably bring up those old memories that you kind of stored away and you just haven't used Muse in a while. Once we get started with it, it will really start to make sense and you'll remember those things you learned in the first class. How about you, Daniel? Do you remember taking DS241? No, if you don't remember either, I bet once we get started, you guys will start remembering. But if not, we are going to go over everything you're going to need to build this website in the lectures every single week. So if you can't make the lectures, be sure you find the lecture that says assignment demo or assessment demo. And you watch it because I will walk through all the tools you're going to use, all the widgets you're going to use, that sort of thing. I want to take a moment to walk you guys through. Let me share my desktop here. I want to take a moment to walk you guys through. First, you need to check your Creative Cloud library. All of your apps should say 2017 in parentheses. If they do not, you need to get updated. You guys should have the latest technology. The update is free, and you need it. It will make this class a lot easier if you're using the exact same use as I am. If for some reason you are not updated, log into our classroom and click on the announcements link. Click on the important applications required for this course. This will tell you how to get your computer updated. Click on that Graphic Arts Community Adobe CC install and upgrade page. It will give you step-by-step instructions. You need to note that this email is not accurate. It should actually say sean.childers-gray@independence.edu. You can find his actual website, his email address on the Graphic Arts community page. And it will update your CC so that you have the latest programs. Now then, we have a learning coach for this class, and I got her schedule earlier. I haven't had the chance to put it in our classroom yet because I've been giving lectures today, but I will get that in our announcements as soon as I'm done this evening. So if you are having trouble, please go into the Student Success Center and see her. I am also in the Student Success Center twice a week, on Thursdays from 8 to 11 p.m. Mountain Time, and on Fridays from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. Mountain Time. Do not hesitate to come in and see one of us, guys. If you need help, come in and let us help you. That way you're not stressed this month. The less stress you're under, the more you will retain from this class. And I am telling you, as a professional graphic designer, you guys must be able to design some type of website in order to be able to be successful. At my company, I am the senior graphic designer. I hire all of our junior graphic designers. I will not hire a graphic designer that cannot make a website. And I work for a printing company. We don't do websites often for our clients. I do a lot of websites for freelance. But as for my company, we don't design a lot of websites for our clients. Occasionally, we'll do something like that. But most of the time, because we're a printing company, we do print design stuff. But the graphic designers are in charge of keeping our website up to date. And I will not hire a graphic designer that does not have some sort of web design experience or knowledge, meaning it was included in their education and they have some examples in their portfolio. Most jobs you try and get as a graphic designer will require you guys to have some sort of web design knowledge. So don't blow this class off, but don't feel stressed either, guys, because I'm going to be here every step of the way. If you need help, all you have to do is reach out or come see me in the Student Success Center. Let's go over how to get into the Student Success Center. When you log onto your classroom homepage, there's a green button right in the middle of your screen that says Student Success Center. Just click on it. It's going to give you the instructions for the Student Success Center. If you've never been in, it's a good idea to scan through this before you click to enter. Once you've done that, click to enter Student Success Center. You're going to put your first and last name up here. That will help your learning coaches. At the end of the night, we have to give a list of every single student that we helped. And we have to provide their first and last name. Make sure you sign in with your first and last name. Those of you that have never signed in before will get a message popped up telling you that you need to download the Blackboard Caliber Launcher. It doesn't take but a couple of seconds to download it, install it. It doesn't take long. Once that's done, it will download. You will have to go back and log in again, and then you'll get this little download at the bottom of your screen like I did. You're just simply going to click on it and give it a moment. It takes a moment for it to actually load. And then you'll get another box. So we'll just hang out here for a second. It took about a minute earlier. Sometimes it'll be really fast and sometimes it will be slow. That is just Blackboard. Once it's loaded, you'll get this little message here that asks if you want to run the application. Just simply hit run. And it's going to start loading Blackboard for you. Once it's loaded, this is what you will see right here. Now, you will see these rooms. If you come in the evening, you're going to see more rooms. It's depending on what day you come in, it'll depend on how many rooms we have. You're going to find your learning coach or my classroom. Look for that graphic design room. Tara is in here right now, and for some things she could probably help you, but she may not be able to and tell you need to come back and see Christy or see me. If you hover over your name, there's a little drop down appears, and you can pick what room you want to go into, or you can simply grab yourself and drag yourself down to a room and just drop yourself in whatever room you want to go into. I need to let Mariah know I'm just showing you guys. So that's how you get into the Student Success Center. So don't hesitate to go in there, guys, and get help if you need it. Again, I will be there on Thursday and Fridays in the evenings, and Christy's schedule will be posted in the announcements this evening. As soon as I'm done with all my lectures, I'll get all that updated, and her schedule will be there. Also, in the announcements, I wanted to show you guys, let's go look, open my module tabs. In the announcements, there is an announcement about our Linda playlist. There has been some technical difficulty with the gateway portal to the playlist created for you each week. there is a temporary fix. First, you're going to enter through one of the week's Linda playlist portals found in this course under your modules tab. And then you're going to click on the links below to get direct access. So I held my command key down and clicked on modules, so it would open a new tab for me. If you scroll down to week 1, you see the week 1 lynda.com playlist. I'm going to go ahead and open the Lynda portal. Opens this page. As you can see, there's nothing in our playlist. Usually, you guys know, you've seen this 100 times, that there's usually a list of things you need to watch here. Something's going on with our connection to Lynda. They're working on it, but as of right now, it has not been fixed. So the workaround is to open that portal and then go back to the announcements and click on the link for week 1. It's going to open. Subscribe to the playlist. And then you get all the books in there for week 1. And these are the things you need to watch. This week, you've got a few things you need to watch. The Muse Essentials training. If you definitely don't remember DS241, go through this. Look through this list at the things that you know you're going to need to watch. You can probably skip the Muse overview. These are really short videos, 6 minutes total. You might take a look at that. Definitely create your site in Muse. You want to look at that. It's an 8-minute video, 3 videos at 8 minutes. Master pages. That is something you're definitely going to need to know how to do. That's a 35-minute video, but they're broken down to several simple videos, 6 minutes, 6 minutes, 11 minutes. They're not, you can watch, take a break, watch, take a break, or watch, fix lunch for your kids. That sort of thing. I get life is complicated, guys. I get it. So just watch them as much as you can, because there's a lot of stuff in these videos. We have 4 hours a week for me to try and teach you everything. It's virtually impossible. These videos pick up the things that I missed or the things that you might need a reminder of that will allow you to take what you learn in your lectures and apply it to multiple things. Does that make sense? Because what I go over in the lecture totally applies to your assignment and your assessment. And sometimes it's difficult to take those skills and apply it to something other than that assignment or assessment. These videos will help bridge that gap. So watch these. Even if you don't finish them all this mod, they're in your playlist because you've subscribed to it. They're going to stay there. That means you can watch them even after this class. But watch them, because that will help bridge the gap. Because I get that sometimes it's hard to take something you learned in one class and apply it to something different. I try to bridge that gap with you guys as much as I can, but again, we have 4 hours. So sometimes that becomes really difficult. If ever in the future, after this class, after you graduate, whenever, if ever you have a question about web design, whether it's Muse, Dreamweaver, HTML code, whatever, make sure you save my email address. You guys are all free to email me those questions, even after you're gone from this school. I will be more than happy to answer those questions. So that's how we get into Lynda. Now, the next thing I want to go over is I do use the rubrics. I use it for all of the discussions, all of the assignments, all of the assessments. It is very important that you be sure to review that rubric. When you go into your grades to look at them each week, let's go into the assignment for week 1. There's no grade here because this is student view, just my test view. But this is exactly what your screen is going to look like. You're going to have a comment here from me. It'll probably tell you great job. If you've done something that I really, really like, I will usually mention it right here in these comments and then tell you to please see the rubrics for additional feedback. Right up here to the right-hand corner, there is a link to the rubric. And right here, it's going to give the basic comments. But if I've taken off points for something, I'm going to leave you a little comment and you will see it underneath the points. It will give you my exact comment. In that rubric, guys, is where I'm going to tell you this is what's wrong and this is how you fix it. It is, my Zoom bubble is jumping. I have one of the other instructors sending me a message. It's okay. But in this rubrics is where I'm going to tell you what's wrong and how to fix it, what you need to do to make those corrections. So be sure you review this rubrics every single week. Any questions, guys? Okay, well, let's take a look and do a little bit of a refresher on Muse. This is your Muse screen. Of course, you're going to be doing a new site this month, so you're going to hit the new site. I'm going to open up a page so that we can go over some of the basics and just refamiliarize ourselves with the layout. It's going to tell you new site. It's going to ask you what the max page width. Notice it has flood. There is an option for fixed, but you will be creating a flood width website. That is the only way to make it responsive. It must be fluid. The default Muse size is 960. I'm going to change that to 1024. And then it's going to give you columns. The columns are kind of like what you get in InDesign, so that you kind of make a grid there. I usually design my websites based on 12 columns. So I'm going to put a 12 there. The advanced settings, you can leave it default. Minimum width is 320. Minimum height is 500. I usually change my minimum height to 300. I will show you guys why as we move through the weeks. So I usually change that default to 300. But if you leave it at 500, it's not that big of a deal. I just have a preference to move mine at 300, and you'll kind of catch on to why I do that as we move through. And it asks you your margins. The default in Muse is 20 pixels. You can leave it at the default. And then it asks you whether or not you want to center align or left align. This does not mean the content on your page. This means your page itself. How many of you have been to a website at one point or another that was aligned to the left of the page, meaning the website was all the way over against the left side and you had this big, huge white space on the right? Any of you guys seen a website like that? Yeah, it's kind of annoying, isn't it? It just makes it look like something is wrong. If it's centered, though, you have an even amount of white space on the left and an even amount of white space on the right. If the page doesn't stretch all the way across your screen, it's still centered. There's no huge gap of space on the right side. Kind of evens it out. I always center so that it looks right. And then, of course, make sure sticky footer is checked. That way, anything you put in the footer area will stay there. And once you hit OK, Muse will automatically make your home page, which is the index.html page. It will automatically create this page for you. And then you can manually create your other page using these plus signs. So if I have another top level page, I would simply click the button and it'll create a new page and I can give it a name. And we have our master pages. Your master page acts very similar to the master page in InDesign. Anything that you put on this master page will show up on every single page. So anything you put on this page, even a square, will automatically show up on any page you create. The difference is that on the home page, unlike InDesign, I can't override master page items. It's on there. If I want to change it, I have to change the master page. Just like InDesign, though, you can have multiple master pages if you need them. And then, of course, we have our footer and header area. Let me fit my page to window. These little blue lines that you see, there's one at the very top here, and there's one right below it. Anything within this area is between what kind of tags? What kind of tags do you think the content that you put up there is going to be between? Yeah, things like the nav bar would go up there. And anything between those tags is going to be in your header area. So it's going to use a header tag. And anything below these bottom two grid lines, technically there's 3 here. This allows you to add white space after your footer if you don't want your web page to sit at the very bottom of the web browser. Anything between these 2 grid lines is your footer. And it will be between footer tags. And anything you draw down here automatically gets a check mark named footer. So that means if you place something on your screen that's supposed to go in the footer, but you put it in your main content, it's not checked. So once you move it down here into your footer area, you need to make sure you check mark it footer. That way, when you move your page up or down, whichever you need to move it, this stuff will go with it. When you put something else on your page that takes up space, things will bump down to where they're supposed to be. Right now, my Muse does not like the fact I have several other applications over. It's not acting like it should. Normally, when you add something on your screen, your entire screen will bump down, and it will take the footer with it. Mine just isn't acting like it's supposed to at the moment. So that is your master page. And on your master page, you will have things like your logos, your navigation bar, your copyright statement, your social media icons, things that are going to be on every single page and that will be in the exact same location. Your widgets library is going to become your best friend, especially in Muse, because this is where all of your interactive stuff is. Muse includes 2 menu bars, a horizontal and a vertical. If you drag those out, it will automatically populate itself to the number of pages you have. So let's see, I'm going to add page 1, page 2, page 3, oops, page 3. If I go back to my master page, it automatically adds buttons for me. And it automatically links those buttons. So I don't have to do any manual linking. It's all done right there for me. And you can stretch this navigation bar. You can customize it by double-clicking it and changing it to whatever color you want it to be. It will change all the buttons for you, so all you have to do is do them one time. And it will allow you to change the state. Right here where it says menu item, normal, if I click on normal, it'll ask me what I want it to look like at rollover. So if I choose rollover, I could choose a different color. and make that my rollover color. And click on rollover. It asks me for a mouse down color and an active color. And you can select all of those and change them. Why? That way you have some interactivity with your navigation bar. And when I roll over, it changes. And there are all sorts of things you can do there. Let's see if I went over to roll over. And I go to effects. You can add drop shadows, bevels, inner glows. You can do all sorts of things like that. So that then, anytime they click on a button, it looks like it really moves and it's really animated. You can do all sorts of things like that. And that's just with the menu. All of your widgets that are within this widgets library can be customized like that. You have your buttons. You have compositions. They're kind of like slideshows. You have your featured news. We see this kind of set up on a lot of news websites where it'll have a little bit of the article and you click on the button, you can see some previews basically, and it usually has a for more information or a read link, and you click on it and it opens a big article. Your lightbox displays, presentations, your tooltips, where if you click on one of the little circles, it opens up a little box for you. And then of course there's the form. There's your detailed contact form and a simple contact form. And all of those are customizable. We've been through the menus. You have your panels, which is your accordion panel. We've seen these on several different types of websites. Or if you click on them, it's like a little drop down. And again, all of those are customizable. You can change the color of all of them. And all the different views. If I wanted it to be a different color in rollover, I could change it to a different color. That way, in the preview screen, you see how my footer is automatically down here? That's because it moved it where we're supposed to go, although my, on my master page is not working right. But you can see if I roll over these, they change colors. And each one of them open, and they're a little animated. And it just adds interactivity to your site. And that's what we are going to be exploring this month. It's all the different types of interactivity that you can add. You have, of course, your tab content, which is the same basic setup, except for this time it's in tabs. And again, those are all customizable. And then, of course, you have your slideshows. And you have several slideshows, from your basic slideshow to your blank slideshow, which is exactly like the basic, except for it's not populated with default images. Yes, it's kind of like the tabs in Google Chrome and Firefox, yes. You have a full screen slideshow, which means that slideshow will take up the entire screen. There is no footer, no header on screens that use full screen slideshows. It's just a slideshow. You have your light boxes. You have thumbnails. Now, this full screen slideshow is very good for how many of you have seen one of the recent websites that have a slideshow going on in the background? but the content is overlaid on the front of it, usually on a white box. It has like a drop shadow, but there's constantly some sort of the images flipping in the background. This type of thing can be used for that, along with manipulating your layers panel. I make a new layer. I drag layer 2 underneath layer 1. And I went into my libraries panel, oops, my widgets panel, and I pulled out this full screen slideshow. To make sure I get it lined up here. Yes, and I'll click on my little blue dot. I want to take off my previous and next, and I'm going to turn down my seconds so it plays quickly for us. I still have a box up. What is it? Oh, the counter. Turn off my counter. So now I just have a slideshow. So if I put a box here, we'll pretend this is going to be my content box. Add a drop shadow. So now if we preview that, I don't have it exactly centered, but you'll get the idea. You see what starts happening here. How many of you have seen websites that have something like this going on in the background? They have all this content here, but there's a slideshow that's always going on in the background. And the picture's automatically changing. Now, does it have to slide like that? No. Like I said, all of this stuff is customizable. Your transition right now, it says horizontal. You could make it vertical. Let's take my white box off my master page and let's put it on the home page. This box long. And give it a drop shadow. Or you could make it fade in and out. But we've all seen recently, this has become very popular. You've got slideshows going on in the back with the image changing constantly, or you have a video in the back with the image changing constantly, but it's animated. Sometimes it's nothing more than an animated GIF. Other times it's an actual video, and it's just constantly changing. Those are the kind of things that you're seeing lately. Can it be in low opacity, meaning if you wanted to turn down the opacity some? Yes. Go back to your master page here. If I click on that, at least I think you can change the opacity on the slideshow. You may have to change the opacity on the actual images themselves right up here. You could turn that down. And you could change your transition speed. Is it 5 seconds? So maybe I want to make that 1.5 seconds. Go back to our home page. And it changes the transition, slows it down a little bit. You can kind of control the speed and things like that. But this gives you the ability to create a slideshow and a website that's really awesome to the users. Because what's the point in a website if it's boring, right? How many of you guys get on websites all the time, look around, and it just really isn't all that exciting, so you hit your back button, you find somewhere else to go. All of that stuff matters, whether or not we realize it or not. You need to make sure you engage the user if you want to keep them on the website. Make sense? This is your basic introduction to Muse, guys. We will get more involved in this tomorrow when we're doing our demos for the assignment and the assessment. And the widgets library also includes your social media stuff. It's got the Facebook like, the follow, the comments, your Google Maps, the Google Plus, the LinkedIn, PayPal, Pinterest, Twitter, the follow and the tweet, the IMO, the YouTube, and there are all sorts of third-party widgets you can download. If you look at, this is my library. These are my third-party widgets. They don't appear in your actual widgets library. They appear in a library panel. But I have folders full of third-party widgets that I use all the time when I'm using Muse to build an actual website for a client. And I can tell you, I use Muse to build basic websites that aren't very complicated and things like that. Otherwise, I do use HTML or CSS, and that's simply because I have the knowledge to code. And so it's easier for me to code it out myself than to try and get Muse to do what I want it to do. Muse is great for basic websites, but there are limitations to what Muse will do. There just are, because you can't customize the code that Muse is writing and things like that. You can add some additional code, but you can't customize the code that is already there. So there are some limitations. Would I use Muse to build a massive e-commerce website? Absolutely not. It would take forever. However, if I'm just building a basic website, a couple pages, 3 or 4 pages, maybe a few e-commerce buy now buttons or something like that on it, absolutely I'll use Muse. Why? Because it saves me time. I don't have to do the coding. Muse will do it. I can just throw the stuff on the page and design it based off the mock-up and the wireframe I did, and not have to spend an hour or 2 coding to get the website done. I can do it in 30 minutes. Time is money, right? Well, in web design, you usually charge per page. Not per hour, you charge per page. So the faster you get the website done, the more money you make, right? Whereas if you have to spend 2 days coding the website, you have to break that charge, the charge you're giving them down hourly, you end up not making a whole lot if it's taking you days or weeks to code a website. Whereas it's something you could throw together in Muse in a couple of hours. You just made payday hourly because you're making a lot of money. Does that make sense? That is what Muse is great for. And that's why you guys should learn it, especially as print designers. Being able to offer your customers basic web design is fast money, and it pays really good. Can you go from Muse and import to Dreamweaver? Meaning, can you open up that HTML file into Dreamweaver so that you could actually customize it? Yes, you can, Daniel. However, Muse does not, let's see, let's give you an example. Da, 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 da. This is my website. This website was done in Muse. If we look at the view page source, this is the coding Muse did for my website. So the meta, here's where the body starts. Here's our body. Muse does not always apply the tags you wish it would, which makes it easy to figure out where you are on your website. Muse uses a lot of div tags versus the new HTML5 tags. I'm sure there will be an update and that will change, but right now Muse is still writing in div tags, which means you're going to have to go through, if you put it into Dreamweaver, you're really going to have to go through lots of code. That is just my homepage. And try and figure out where that section is that you want. So this is the reason I say customizing the code in Muse is not simple. So when I'm doing complicated websites where I need a lot of customization, things that I know I can't do with Muse, I will code them because it's a lot easier than going through here and trying to figure out exactly where that div tag is and all this code. Because Muse does create a lot of code, guys. Now, with that said, this is so much better than what Muse was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I would have never, ever, ever said Muse was a viable web design program because it created so much trash code that it took the sites forever to actually load. They've cut out all the trash code. Muse is not creating trash code anymore, but it is still designing in these div tags instead of using the HTML5 tags. I'm sure it'll get there, but as for right now, it is not there. So it's all div tags, and so you kind of have to figure out where you are if you're trying to customize code from Muse into Dreamweaver. Now, undeniably, building this website in Muse didn't take me near as long as it would have to code all of this stuff and write the CSS. This file doesn't even include the CSS. That's a whole nother file. This is simply the HTML code. So yes, building my small portfolio website, I used this as a demo in the 241 class the last time I taught it. Was a lot faster than if I had coded all of this in Dreamweaver. So Muse is great for simple websites like this, simple company websites. I do a lot of freelance work for mom and pop companies, you know, the smaller companies that are family owned and operated that need a web presence. Or they had a website done back in 1980 and it's definitely not modern, and so they're looking for modernization. So I'm taking their website that they have and just modernizing it. But you see a lot of those, especially with the smaller companies. So I make really good money doing small websites that are nothing more than home, about, contact, 3 pages for these smaller companies. It's usually all they want. Some of them will throw in a products or service page. So you get 4 pages. And I can throw those together in Muse really quickly, but I'm making $1,500 a website. That's really good money, and it's not taking me very long. So keep that in mind, guys. It is important, I assure you, it's important that you learn to design a website, whether it be in Muse or in Dreamweaver or Sublime or some other web design software. It is extremely important that you guys as graphic designers learn how to develop a website, especially for those of you that have dreams of being a freelancer and being able to work from your own home office. You're going to have to know how to develop a website. And learning on the fly is not easy. So while you're in school, take the opportunities you get to learn this stuff. And continue your education. Continue playing with those websites through your other classes that aren't design classes. Play with Muse or play with Dreamweaver on top of what you're doing for that class. Or during the winter break, Things like that. Make sure you keep these skills up to date. I assure you, you will need them. If you plan to go to work for an employer, they're going to expect you to have some sort of web design experience and have some example in your portfolio that you can design a website. If you plan on freelancing, if you want to be successful at freelancing, you're going to need to know web design. So take the opportunity and learn it. And again, as I said, keep my email address handy, because anytime now or in the future, you are more than welcome to ask me questions or ask for help. I will be more than happy to help you. I want to see all of you guys be extremely successful. Okay, guys, well, that was our short introduction to Muse. We will get more involved with Muse as we go through our assignment and assessment demos. But for now, I just wanted you guys to kind of start jogging your memories about when you took DS241. And we will talk more about these advanced techniques like adding slideshows in the back, adding video in the back, that sort of thing. We will talk about all that as the mod moves forward. Our next lecture will be tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. We will be doing the assignment and the assessment demo tomorrow. So if you don't have the opportunity to be here with us, please make sure you watch that lecture. It will make things a lot easier on you. Less stress, the more memory recall you will have. So if you get stuck, you're feeling anxious, please reach out to me and let me know so we can talk it through. All right, guys, any final questions before we call it a night? All right then, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow, and we will jump into our assignment and assessment. How about you? Tim's gone too.